Hi, I'm Diane Kometa, and today on Dishin with Di, I'm going to show you how to make crepes. These are delicately thin French-style pancakes that are perfect for breakfast or dessert. So let's get started on Dishin with Di. Crepes seem really fancy, right? But they're so simple to make, you wouldn't believe it. And especially when you use a blender. That's my secret weapon here. I've tried making crepes by hand in a bowl with just a whisk, and I always end up with lumps and I have to strain it, so like, who needs that? I'm using the blender, okay? So the ingredients that are included are so simple and basic, they're probably in your pantry and your fridge. And the first one is some milk and some water combined. So you're just gonna throw this right on in to your blender, and then you're gonna grab yourself some eggs and you just pop them right in here. So what we're doing is basically making a really thin pancake batter, and that's basically what crepes are, nice thin pancakes. Now to sweeten these up, because these are gonna be like breakfast or dessert style crepes, I'm gonna add in a little bit of white granulated sugar here, just enough to add some sweetness to the crepes. And then for flavor, I'm gonna add some pure vanilla extract, and that just makes everything taste better. It's perfect in these crepes. And to boost the flavor, we're gonna add some salt. And salt just makes everything taste better. And we're just gonna buzz this around for about 15 seconds. Boom, 15 seconds later, here we are, and now we're ready to add in some flour. So just go ahead and loosen your flour up in your bin, and then just go and spoon it right into your measuring cup. That way it doesn't pack down and you don't end up with too much flour. And then just grab a knife and just level it off, just like that. And then take the flour and just pour it directly into the batter. And now we're just gonna give this a little buzz around for maybe 15 to 30 seconds just to make sure everything gets really thoroughly combined. Now, the last thing to go into the mix is this. This is some melted, unsalted butter, and I let this cool so it's no longer hot, and I'm just gonna pour this right into the blender with the rest of the ingredients, and then I'm gonna pop my lid back on, buzz that around, and get it mixed through. Now that it's all mixed, I like to transfer the mixture into a bowl and then cover that with some plastic wrap. And then you're gonna let this rest. We riled things up during the blending, and the gluten has been activated, and that needs a chance to settle down because we want really tender crepes. And you also want it to rest because you want the flour to absorb as much of that liquid as possible. So it needs about an hour. Now you can leave this on your counter for an hour and it'll be good to go. But if you need to wait longer than that, or if you want to use this the next day, pop the whole kit and caboodle right in your fridge, and then 30 minutes before you're ready to cook your crepes, let it sit out on the counter so it can warm up a bit. So I'm just gonna let this sit, and then I'm gonna get over to the stove and we'll get these babies going. Heat a non-stick skillet over medium heat until a little bit of water sizzles up and evaporates. And add in a little bit of vegetable or canola oil, then take a paper towel and carefully just go around and coat the bottom and the sides of the pan. So even though it's a non-stick pan, you want to do this just to ensure these babies don't stick. So take your crepe batter, and I just gave this a light stir to make sure nothing settled, and then get a 1/4 cup measure and dip that into your batter, and then grab your pan by the handle, lift it from the heat, pour the batter into the center of the pan, and then swirl the pan around to coat the bottom of the pan, and just keep it moving until the batter stops moving. And when that happens, put the pan back on the heat, and you're gonna let it cook until this top part dries and the edges get a little bit dry too, and they'll start to brown around the very edge. Then get yourself a nice thin spatula. This is a heat-proof spatula used for pancakes. And then come around to the edge of the crepe and just make sure it's loosened from the sides of the pan, and then slide your spatula under the crepe and then carefully flip it over, just like that. And you'll see it looks like a little bit lacy on the bottom, and this would be the outside of the crepe. The underside, that'll be the inside of the crepe where you put the filling. Now you just want to cook it for about another 10 to 20 seconds just so that batter sets. You don't want to overcook it or it'll become rubbery. Now it's important that your pan isn't too hot, because when you pour the batter on there, it'll start to sizzle and cook before it gets a chance to spread out. And if the pan is too cool, it'll take longer for the crepes to cook, and then they'll come out tough. So it's kind of a delicate balance. The first couple usually come out kind of like duds, and you have to either trash them or give them to the dog. And you'll just know when you get it right after the first few. You'll just get the feel of it. So now after it's set, shimmy your spatula under the crepe and then move it to your serving dish. Just flip it over just like that. And then just keep stacking them up. Once your crepes are done, you can serve them right away, or you can stack them between layers of parchment paper, put them in some foil or a freezer-safe bag, and put them in your fridge or your freezer. And then defrost in the fridge, and if you want to heat them, pop them in a pan and just warm them up a little bit and serve them. And they are so delicious with so many different fillings, but we have a couple favorites around here. The way I like to serve it is with a little bit of raspberry jam. You just take a spoon and spread that all over, but I don't stop there. I have to have some Nutella. Spread that all over the crepe, and this is just a perfect combination. It's just delicious, but what isn't delicious with Nutella on it? And then take the crepe and fold it in half, and then fold it in half again. And then I like to top it with just a little bit of powdered sugar, and then a few fresh raspberries on the plate to make it look pretty. Then a little bit of whipped cream. And that's a beautiful dessert or breakfast. And I think I'm just going to be having it as a little snack right now. I'm just going to grab this and pick it up with my fingers, because you know, when you get these in France, they serve them in these little kind of like paper cups, and it's just like this, and you just bite into it. Look at all the delicate layers and that beautiful Nutella in between each one. These are a must try, and they're simple to make, and the recipe is on my website, dishinwithdi.com, and I hope I made your life a little easier, more enjoyable, and delicious. I'll see you next time.